please turn on a camera because this meeting is being recorded?
That's fine. Running depending on where you're connecting from. My name is Philip Daniel Ogabela from Abuja, Nigeria. I'm a medical lab technologist and a public health expert. And today I'm going to be discussing with us the effects of we have over the years or before now. There are so many people that have been affected with the effects of using drugs. So to that effect, I'll be discussing what are the impediments that we are facing as an individual, even as a student in school, in your colleges or university. People are being affected with the use of what of drugs. So I'll be sharing my screen with us any moment from now. All right. Can we all see it, right? Now, effects of drugs abuse among the youths. Now, when we want to, let's just look at an overview of what drugs is all about, right? So according to WHO, what is drugs in a layman language? So drugs is any substance that, when taken into a living body, produce reactions or modify a physiological functions of the body. Now, that is according to the WHO standard. Now, as a pharmacologist, if you want to describe what drugs is about, is a substance that, when taken into the body, functions towards to cure or prevent any sickness what's in the body, right? And over the years, or all over the country, all over the world, we are meant to understand that we take drugs in one way or the other in order to cure our ailments, either be it a preventive measure, a curative measure, or in whatever aspect that we take. In hospital settings, in care homes, we take drugs as a pregnant mother, we take drugs in one way or the other. Now, what is drugs abuse? Now, drugs abuse is a sporadic or persistent and excessive use of any chemical or substance for any reason other than for adequate or acceptable medical purpose. Now, from the beginning, I make an introduction that a drug is served for a purpose which is meant for to cure a particular sickness or diseases, right? But now, this particular time, drugs abuse are any substance that you take that is not prescribed by the medical practitioner, which is being used for a different purpose. Now, follow me as we proceed, as we dissect what drugs is all about. Now, drugs abuse can be defined as any excessive or persistent self-administration of drugs without regards to the medically or culturally accepted patterns. And we can see in all over the world today, the targeted group of people that have been affected with these kinds of drugs abuse are our youth in the country or society today, especially in our colleges, in our universities, in our secondary schools. I have seen, not quite long, especially in Nigeria particularly, there are people that have been addicted with the aspect of this drugs abuse and which have what affects their life negatively. I will come to that aspect as time goes on, right? Because there are so many effects in the life of our youths today, and it has affected their lives negatively. And why? Because we have meant to understand that youths are always the leaders of tomorrow. So, and if their lives are being affected today with the use of drugs abuse, what will the futures of our nations all over the world will become today? And thank you for this Adore youth organization that is being focused mainly on the youth and student. And I give them accolade and kudos to them because definitely this is what we need at this point in time all over the world that we should tackle the effect of drugs from the onset. Now, having understand what drugs abuse is, let's proceed further. I want to highlight some of the causes. Apparently, in our society today, we have seen that people tend to use drugs for a various reasons, right? As I've defined drugs as a substance used to cure sickness or prevent diseases, those that use drugs abuse, especially the youths, when you come across them or when you ask them a particular question, what is the essence of use using this particular drugs? They will have some points like towards to mention unto you. So because of our time, I highlighted some few points here. One, which is peer group influence. The second one is social structural influence. And the third one is the crave for easy wealth. And the fourth one is what the need to feel high. I'll discuss about that in our subsequent page. And the last one is the mass media, right? Now, the reason why people, especially the youth states, to take drugs today, when you ask them, they are not far from the truth, the peer pressure. Let's let's discuss about this a little bit. The peer pressure. Now, in our secondary school, in our colleges and universities, there are people that tends to have friends or colleagues in their categories, right? And those particular categories of people tends to have friends. And at the end, maybe the friend is not taking, but just because I see my friend taking it, I just want to make a practice, and which have become an endemic in the society. Statistically, I was reading an article about public health concern. There are about 220 million people that died of drugs abuse. And what does it affect? It affects thereby causing so many chronic diseases today, like hepatitis B, hepatitis C. Those are some of the effects of those diseases, epilepsy. And not only that, mental disorder, those are some of the effects that what it affects even in the society today. And the second one is the what? The social structural influence. Yes. We have seen, sorry, okay, yeah. Social structural influence. People tend to use drugs for no reason, which it affects an individual in the society because it has a negative effect, structural influence in the society, especially in the societies. It affects an individual mental state, and thereby, just because my friends or the societies are practicing it, they want to indulge themselves and to practice in that aspect as well. So these are some of the causes of drugs abuse among our youth. Now the third one is the craze for easy wealth. Yes. That is what we call in my Nigerian, that is what we call Yahoo Yahoo. In other words, we call them fraudsters. They are engaged to become to get wet by all means. And what do they take to stay overnight? They take hard drugs to make sure they stay overnight so they can defraud some innocent citizens, and thereby they want to become quick and get rich by all means. In colleges, in universities all over the world, especially in Nigeria today, you go to the university, there are agencies that are saddled with the responsibilities of what? Identify those categories of people. We call them NDLA, that is Nigerian Law Drugs Law Enforcement Agencies. And all over the countries, all over the world, there are some organizations that are saddled with the responsibility of identifying those categories of people and thereby making them not stand. Now, they need to get high. This one is very common in our society today and all over the world, especially the students, right? They want to feel belong in the society. They want to become like their friends. They want to feel belong in the societies. Maybe from whom they have not tested this before, but just because they want to feel high in the society, they begin to what indulge into drugs abuse and thereby affecting their life. And the last point here is the mass media. Of course, we can all testify that the mass media has contributed a lot for good as an advantageous part, but there are negative part of the social media that have affected an individual in the society today, and especially it has contributed to what a mass. Before now, an individual, before you can go and get the drugs, of course, you can get it from the pharmacist or the counter. But now, with your social media, you can sit down at home and request for drugs, and they'll bring you at your disposal. So there are negative aspects of it as well. All right. Going forward, I just want to highlight some of the common drugs be abused by the youth. Now, cocaine. Of course, you can see from the picture, cocaine, a drug that tends to what cocaine can be used as smoke when in the forms of rocks or cracks, or injected when made into the liquid. People tend to take cocaine, and of course, all over the world, cocaine is being banned, but it's being smuggled today. And these are some of the drugs that what our young adults and our young youths takes in this moment in time, which what affects them what negatively. Because of our time, we'll continue. Now we have what we call nicotine, which is the commonest one that they use as well. So the addictive substance found in cigarettes. So nicotine is what's actually one of the what most addictive substance that exists. Of course, some countries legalize smoking, but what we tend to understand that when it becomes excessive, it has an effect in the life of an individual, and thereby the long-term effect, it might affect your lungs, it might affect your liver, and of course it might affect your lungs and liver, and thereby making you to what die at what early stage. And not only that, there is what we call phenylcyclidine, which is commonly referred to as PCP words, which are commonly referred to as what alkaloid, which is the major psychoactive substance in what in tobacco. So these are some of the drugs that are being consumed by the youth. Now we have heroin. There are different type of drug. Heroin, thereby it affect an individual immune system as well. So I just want to highlight some of the basic drugs that an individual takes that what it affects the life of our youth. Now, what are the effects of drugs abuse among the youth? What are the effects? What does it affect? It affects their mental health. Mental health problems such as depressions, such as developmental lacks, such as apathy, such as withdrawal. Marijuana use, which is what prevalent among the youth, has been shown to interfere with the short-term memory, learning loss, and psychomotor skills. Of course, there are side effects, and that is why we as a public health officer, we should advocate for what they should stop using these particular drugs because it affects an individual's mental health. Even though it does not affect now, in futures, it affects your mental health, thereby leading to depressions, developmental lacks, apathy, even withdrawal, and sometimes it leads to what memory loss. And of course, in our countries, we have gone to psychiatric hospitals that you have seen. So people that are being affected in the hospitals, when you take their history, they like we drive their history towards to the use of what's hard drugs, which thereby affect their mental health and thereby even affecting their life in general. So it affects their mental health as well. So we should what? Try to do them. Now, effects on one family. Of course, I would like to explain this on this aspect vividly. In addition to personal adversities, the abuse of alcohol or other drugs by youth may result in what family crisis and jeopardy, many aspects of family life, sometimes resulting in family dysfunction. So these are some of the things that are done in the life of everyone, affect the family, and thereby causing the family to have a jeopardy. Now, because of our time, I just want to conclude all over the world. Drugs abuse is a problem that is causing serious concern to both individuals, to both various government organizations, world countries at large. So the problems of drugs abuse is not limited only to the youth alone, but also to the adolescent and even onto the aged, because the long time effect of it can lead to cancer, it can lead to what liver cirrhosis and whatever thing, mental retardations, depressions, and even death as well. So it also spans across all races. Yes, of course, it affects either both black, white, irrespective religions, genders, and socio-economic status. However, it is more prevalent among the youth, and that is why we are tackling it among the youth of this nowadays, who are in their prime age and are open to new lifestyles. And this is what addicted to their what ignorance about the associated dangers of drugs abuse. So as many are overwhelmed by the perceived and immediate benefit derived from drugs abuse, while other abuse drugs due to what frustrations, illness, peer pressures, or no condition should we what justify the use of abuse drug because it has a long time effect which will what affect an individual at the end. However, with the adequate and effective counseling and treatment programs, drugs abuse can be brought under control. And I'm encouraging everyone, government agencies, parastatals organizations, civil society organizations, we should all bring our hands together and thereby so that we can fight this menace of drugs abuse among our youth. All right. Thank you very much. I think this is a little that can go because of our time. I don't know. We have time for question
Yeah,
times
thank you,
now.
Mr. Philip, for sharing such an informative presentation. Like now, we would like to open the floor to questions. I request the participants to submit their doubts and question in the chat box, and Mr. Philip will try to answer it accordingly.
Yeah. So, what role does education play in reducing the abuse of drugs among youth?
Sorry, can you come again?
Yes, I'm asking what role does education play in reducing the abuse of drugs among the youth?
Right. Thank you very much for that. Yes, education play a significant role in reducing the drugs abuse among the youth. First, now there is what we call advocacy or sensitization. Now, having note the effects of drugs that affect an individual in the society, especially the youth, about it is what let's say mental retardation. It affects your mental state. Now, what you take, it will affect your mental state, and thereby making you to become a what? I wouldn't want to use the word mad person in society, right? But it will affect your mental state, and thereby reduce you towards a mental retardation in the society. And not only that, there are other effects that can affect your health as well. Let me take, for example, liver cirrhosis. What is liver cirrhosis? That is the inflammations of the liver. So there are some drugs that you take, thereby affecting your liver, right? So education will make us to understand that yes, there are drugs that you take that will affect an individuals in the society. So education play a significant role through what advocacy, through sensitization, and through even monitoring and evaluation, thereby making people to understand that there are effects of drugs among the youth and it can be curtailed through advocacy, sensitization, and mobilizations among societies and even the school at large. Thank you. Did I answer your
Yeah,
question? Did I
Hi
like
Daniel. Hi Daniel.
a little
Evening
bit?
from India. I just want to ask one question.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi. I just want to ask one question that how do drugs affect basically mental health? Like Vandit has asked about education. That was a good question. So I just want to make it clear that how do drugs affect mental health?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Now we talk about mental health, right? When you take a particular drug, you still have mental withdrawals and have some psychosocial dysfunctions even in his brain, and thereby epilepsies begin to set in. Why? Because it's a long-term effect of those drugs that our individuals take. So drugs affect our mental health as well. And secondly, I would like to add, it's common among the adolescents, like depressions, like attempted suicides. Those disorders, social mental state at which it leads to and affect our individual states. I think that is the little I can take about that. Maybe someone want to ask anyway.
Ah. Thank you, Daniel, for the answer. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Daniel, I have a question. Can I ask?
Is the presentation over?
No, ma'am, we have some few questions.
Rajat, the presentation was very nicely done, and congratulations to you as well.